the Daily Show. You're not just going to have me today. And for some of you all, that's going to be like a very rough show. And I'm okay with that. Some of you all don't like my opinion. I'm okay with that as well, because guess what? It's mine, not yours. We do what we do. But this is the Windy City Breeze. I am your host for the day, P.kidd. Let's jump into this, man. I want to let everyone know that Pat has had a wonderful day at Hallis Hall. He wishes everyone who supported the Breeze, wishes you all well. He has a lot to report on that end. I'll wait till he gets in the building tomorrow to let you all know what he has experienced. I'm really happy for my boy Pat over there. Really putting on for the squad. Man's done a whole lot of great things. But with all that being said, that being good news, let's get to the quick bad news real quick. Man, listen, Bears find themselves in another conundrum. We have Kyler Gordon, who we knew had some hand injuries, but we kind of thought it'd be something that would probably resolve itself by Tampa Bay, maybe even the week after. Well, we don't have him anymore. In fact, we don't have him at all. So that being the case, we're going to sit there and see realistically what our defense does. If there's one thing I will say about our defense, and there ain't a whole lot to say about our defense, is yeah, that hurts. That hurts. Drew, I appreciate you, man. Pat is respectable in the journalism. Hey, man, Pat is doing his thing, man. I really appreciate what he's done. Baki, what's good? I appreciate everyone in that live, man. Listen, we are going to have a solo show. So because of that, we're going to have a lot more interaction with those in the chat. I do appreciate you all. Throw your comments, throw your questions in there. I know a lot of you all hit me up privately. So this is an opportunity for you all to kind of get at me on at the public stage. P.kidd look like he owns 2 wine companies. Hey, listen, dog. Everything goes well, I will own 2 wine companies. By the way, this drink is especially for you all. Dilly dilly. But getting back into the news, man. Getting back into Kyler Gordon and things of that nature. I'll say this. The one thing I have loved about Ryan Poe's picks is that he did pick some promising defensive players, Kyler Gordon being one of them. The bad thing is this injury comes at the worst time for what is starting to turn into a Ryan Poles cook fest. Now, I'm not saying that Ryan Poles deserves it. I think Ryan Poles, just like any GM, he made very strategic decisions, and they may or may not be working out to how he wants them to, but you have to really give credit for the moves that he made. But right now, just because of how bad we looked in that loss, some people are just not riding with him right now. And you know what? I feel both ends of that. I do feel both ends of that, simply because realistically, everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. You look at how we should have looked. Like I tell people all the time, this is why I told people not to put too much stock in game one. One, we didn't have a lot of a lot of continuity, a lot of new pieces, and as you all could see, Pat being in the building, we knew that they weren't going full force in a lot of this. Some people weren't playing, some people weren't there. It was a lot of injuries. It was a lot of stuff that was going to ruin continuity. Now you have that happen. You get to week one, you look completely unprepared on both ends of the ball. I mean, to the simple fact that this is Thursday and we have not moved off the fact of how bad they looked. Not just us, the national media, goes to show you just how bad it really was, man. It got bad. Now to roll into this situation where you're questioning whether or not you have the right OC. What the heck was our head coach really doing? No one likes Allen Williams for some odd reason. All of those decisions, Ryan Poles. Going to week 2, Kyler Gordon is now, we're going to lose him. By the way, just to directly address the headline, he's on IR. It's been all over the news. We know exactly what that means. Minimum of 4 weeks. So he's going to be back week 6, if I'm not mistaken. Public school math. I mean, week 6, we'll probably see him back. But that's a large chunk for someone who you expected to take a leap on the defensive end. It's a large chunk of time for him to be missing from our corner. And we are not in a favorable position to start taking L's of this nature. Now, is the world ending? No, obviously not. Is it next man up? Always. That's what it has to be. But it just doesn't. The timing of it all was just bad. It's really, really bad. And realistically, Samurai Jack, I appreciate that super chat, my boy. At least I can still be excited about Connor. You, I guess, I guess, um, I guess you could be excited about that. By the way, I've always wanted to ask Samurai J this. What kind of dog is that, my G? Like, you're the only person who's been consistent and has not changed their. What is that? I'm not even going to tell you what I thought it was when I first saw it. Baki sucks that Kyler Gordon is going on IR, but this opens up opportunity for Terrell Smith, our 5th round pick, the past draft. Don't forget Smith challenged Tariq Stevenson for the cornerback 2 job. I'm gonna be honest with you, Baki. If I'm yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna just move on from that one. Nothing against you, but I'll say this: I share the same sentiment as many of those in Chicago, and it's not. I want to say this: it's not trying to jump off the Bears bandwagon. It's not to sit there and make it seem as if, we're not true fans. But when you haven't what that the show we did yesterday, I think that was a good point. When you haven't won in a full calendar year, you deserve the right to be frustrated. You deserve the right as a fan. Like think about it. Imagine being a fan that spent $600 to go see your favorite team just get destroyed week over week. Because these tickets ain't cheap. I'm going to a game this season. The tickets weren't cheap. I don't want to go right now. Like, honestly, I don't want to go to that game and be upset because of how bad we looked. That's the type of impact it is. I didn't want to go to. I don't like outdoor football games in the first place. Call me a millennial, whatever the old heads that's kept. I just don't. It's nothing appealing about sitting in the cold watching people play football. Like, that's what other organizations have over us. They got domes a bit. I can enjoy my time there watching them play football. It's better for the players. I don't like it. That's a whole different thing. So I paid $600+ to sit there in the cold. I must really like you. Now you gonna suck on top of that? Come on, my G. Come on. We're not finna do that. We not finna do that. Mm-mm. You're not finna sit there and have me spend some people's rent money on 2 tickets for me to sit there and get you. I can sit at home with that with my drink. You ain't finna do that to me. So, it's people have a reason to sit. The people have a reason to be upset at how much trash they talked just to get washed by the Green Bay Packers. They deserve a right to be upset. So it's not jumping off the bandwagon, but it just says this: if any of us went to our jobs tomorrow and performed like they did, some of us would get written up. Some of us will probably not be there the next day. Let's be real. So it's like, hey, you expect better from that. And I think that's the real thing. You look at anything else when it comes to our organization and stuff like that, you really have to dive into that. Now, I'm saying all this because it's a lead up to this. Did anyone hear what Luke Getsy said about what he saw on the field? What was he talking about? What was he talking about? I'm trying to understand, and shout out to Steve. I'm gonna put this comment up there. I'm trying to understand. Same thing Steve was trying to understand. Why he said, I'm trying to understand why we've seen this OC struggle for 6 weeks to change the game plan to more run healthy offense, just to go back to the old game plan that we see didn't work. Luke needs to go simple. I'm gonna tell you this: Luke probably needs to just go. That's how bad that was. And I know we've had a whole week of this, so I'm not trying to go back to week 1 in that sense. But what I will say is he's not doing himself any favors. We like to see a coach, or just as men and women who, or just as adults, realistically, we like to see people just own the fact that it was bad, live in it, and just commit to being better. If this show, when this show was bad and we did have some bad episodes, we committed to being better. We invested in the studio, stuff like that. We're invested in us. We're going to be doing a lot more, especially for the Breeze. We invested in being better because we wanted to put out a good product for those who support us, and we appreciate you all. Luke Getsy, when I had the gall, and I wanted to play it, this man really just had the gall to sit there and say that he saw a lot of good things on the field. Now, the whole quote, I think he was really trying to dive into something that was really good. But help me understand what good you saw on the field. I didn't see a whole lot of good. I didn't see much good either. Now he did mention that the execution probably wasn't there, and I give him that. The execution probably wasn't there. No, it's no probably. The execution wasn't there. There's no probably. It wasn't there. Um, but realistically, like he's not really instilling a level of confidence to the fan base that you would expect. And I don't really understand that. I don't really understand a coach that's really just who lives in such a state of denial and delusion that allows you to sit there, coach, offensive coordinator, whatever, anyone on that particular staff that lives in this delusion that you have to sit there and give this I guess PC answer on Sunday. No, dog, y'all sucked. Y'all didn't execute well. No one looked good. And this is not no, just own that and ride with it. And the city will respect you for it. If he came out there and said, you know what, listen, we stunk, we didn't have the execution we wanted, the game plan in itself was not executed, we were trash. If he just owned the fact that they were trash, we would probably feel better about the entire organization moving forward because now we know everyone recognizes, hey, we can't do this again. Whatever this was, however we got here, we bet not do this again. And I think we'd all rally behind it. Buddy didn't even say that. Buddy just pretty much was like a very permissive thing. And I'm not sitting there saying that he has to be the fire the troops, fiery guy. But there's a difference. No matter what your personality type, ownership is ownership. And we can all agree with that. If I make a mistake and I own it, no matter what my temperament is, tone is, and things of that nature, if I'm sitting there as a man, I'm owning my mistakes. You respect that. I don't feel that from Getsy. That's the part that gets me. I don't feel that. That bothers me. That that bothers me so much. And I really don't get it. That part I really don't get. I really don't understand that part. But now here's the thing. And I want to go back to tie that comment in and things of that nature. And this is going to tie directly back into what's happening with Kyler Gordon and why that's important. Realistically, we had a small subset of people that we would really consider dogs on this team. We all felt like we had dogs on this team from Kyler, Brisker for sure. I mean, we got some new people there, right? We thought Nate Davis was gonna come in and be a dog at his position. Ain't really shaping up to be. We thought Chase Claypool was gonna be a dog at his position. We gotta, ain't really shaping up to be, but at the same time, he's also not getting the rock. So maybe, you're dealing with that. We thought all of that, and yet we see that at the helm, there's some people who just don't seem to have that level of dog in them. That may be behind closed doors and off camera. That's something different. That's something I'm definitely going to get to Pat about because, again, he is a little closer to the scene. He does get to give us that type of feedback. But at the same time, dog, there's nothing about these press conferences that instilled a level of confidence in me as a fan in this Bears team to make me say, yep, we're going to win against Tampa Bay. Or we're going to learn from I do not feel confident. Do I hope we win? Absolutely. But I do not feel confident. And on top of that, because of how bad our O-line is, because Justin, at this point, I just have to keep it real, because Justin is still at a point where whether it's the line breaking down too fast, which is a real point, or whether it's not him not being comfortable trying to actually, like, he's going to have to throw the ball. Like, he has to throw the ball. DJ's going to be doubled. He's going to be doubled. Very rarely do you sit there and go one-on-one with your opponent's star receiver or best receiver. You rarely do it. He's going to have to get that ball out. I don't see us having a clean game from a passing perspective, which is what we're looking to see. If Justin could go out there and make something happen with his legs or something happen, great. That translates well. Hopefully it translates into us getting a win and things of that nature. But that'll be it'll be a step forward in some degree, but it would be a far cry from the high-powered offense we thought we were going to get, and it would totally diminish the reasons for why we even traded the first overall to even acquire DJ Moore. And that's going to be something that's going to be a constant challenge throughout the season. And the reality of it is we on all levels, whether you are a fan of Justin Fields or not, it has to change. He does have to stay in the pocket somewhat. He has to deliver the throws. He just does. That pocket is not going to always be clean. Now, mind you, it's not clean for a lot of QBs around the league. It's not clean for a lot of QBs. It's very few QBs who have this pocket like Jordan Love. Very QBs have that type of pocket right now. It's not really happening for a variety of different reasons. Every team has a different story, different issue, things of that nature. So he has to do it. And I'm not here as like JT Sullivan, or Sullivan, all them stuff. Who I can't give that level of breakdown and critique, but we know what we're watching. We know what we see. And it just has to happen. We know good football. If we remove our emotions and bias, we know good football. And it's just not good football. So he has to play better. Like, God. Jacob L, it's the O-line and play calling. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. It is the O-line. The play calling is mid. But I will say this. The one thing I have, and I've done this myself, Pat's done it. Obviously there's a bunch of YouTube quarterback gurus out there that have given their opinion. I've listened to several of them. The one thing I will say is whether they showed bias toward our team in the past, whether they were just like fanboys of our team in the past, no matter what, they've all said the same thing. One, O-line was bad. Pass pro was bad. Two, that ball still needs to get out. I saw it on my own. Pat saw it at times. I mean, it just is what it is. There are some of those plays look worse than they should have looked because the pass didn't get out, because the throw wasn't made, because the attempt wasn't made. So it's a combination of a couple things. One, the OC calling plays that your QB is comfortable with, which probably a lot of screen passes. But at the same time, also the execution of it. Some of those plays probably look totally different if the right moves was made, or if different decisions were made, or if the pass, things of that nature. So the passes that only seem to work were the ones that we all seem to hate. And you got to give that what it is. And so that's just, I hate to say it, but that may be the space that we're in. Mind you, the only reason why, and I give you all this, do yourself a favor if you're someone who's on the fence with Justin Fields. And I'm not saying you should be or not. But go and look at what other teams and what even other, like, find your favorite legendary QB and see what happens and what they do when pass pro is very poor. Some of them stay in the pocket, make the throws and stuff like that, but a lot of them go to short, quick throws and stuff like that. A lot of screen passes. That's what happens when you are having challenges on the line with a lot of pressure. You just kind of resort to that. So that's not what we want to see, but it may be necessary. And I say this more than anything, it's probably going to be what we see against Tampa Bay. Pat talked about that yesterday with Herb. I'm going to reiterate that. Don't expect a high the way our O-line look. Don't expect them to be throwing that ball down the field like that. Now he may have shots to do it, but Jesus, that's going to be a game. That's going to be a game. And I don't think I think that's going to be a tougher game than Green Bay. I think Green Bay came out better than we expected them to. Hats off to them. We took them for granted. We underestimated them. We underestimated Jordan Love a little bit. So hats out for them. They did what they supposed to do. They won. But as we go down the rest of this list, mind you, we had Green Bay as a W. Most of us in this chat had Tampa Bay as a W. Now I'm on the fence. Now I'm on the fence, because Baker may be Baker for whatever the heck that means. But Baker being Baker could win some games. Being Baker. I haven't really seen a lot of that from Justin, being that he's only won 5 games in his career so far. But that's one of those things that, man, we have to sit there and be optimistic. That doesn't mean that we have to be delusionally optimistic, if that's the right way to say that. But it is what it is. I want to talk on this one thing, though, because another report, someone dropped it in the Discord. I saw it online as I was working, heard about it on a couple of shows I was listening to, that apparently George McCaskey is not really happy with what he saw either. And I'm telling you all right now, I actually said this 2 lives ago. So what was this, Tuesday? Whatever it was. If you are George McCaskey and you've seen the lashing he's gotten in the public for not having his organization ran like a real organization, things of that nature. If I'm him, I'm sitting there looking like, hey, listen, I done paid you, and you. We wouldn't totally change the way that this organization is supposed to run. You gave me the same product. Somebody better tell me something. We have to realize that George has been very adamant about one thing. He wants to see the Bears raise another banner, win another trophy before Virginia, it's her time. That's paraphrasing, but I guess that's his intent. And so I believe it. I believe he's dead set on that. Pun not intended. Crack myself up sometimes. But if I'm him, I'm looking at this organization like, hey, this ain't what I paid for. And if this is what's going to happen based off you coming in with the bravado, Ryan Poles, that is, saying, let you pick your guys and stuff like that, and this is what I'm going to get, I'd probably flirt with the idea of, okay, maybe you don't need to be calling the shots. Now, I know people are going to sit there and say, well, kid, you just said that Ryan Poles shouldn't be fired. And I do believe that he should not be on any hot seat or anything like that. I don't believe that. But I do believe, and I think any one of you all would say the same thing. If any one of you all were in the same position and you were in his position, rather, you would make the similar call. You would be starting to have the same thoughts, because this is probably one of the worst losses we've had in a while, and we've lost a lot. But this one was just ridiculously bad on all fronts. I see I'm disrespecting the chat right here. Sorry about that. You may have touched on this already, but according to Gessie, did you know that Poles was involved in a weekly roster? Who was active or sitting out? I wasn't aware that he was involved like that. No, I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of that at all. And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not so well versed in how that typically goes. I don't think the GM is typically involved in those type of things as far as the roster. I don't think he should be. But at the same, because I think you should hire people who are competent enough to do their job, and you should empower them to do their job well, and to give them the reins to kind of make certain mistakes and only coach as necessary. So if I'm Ryan Poles, this was week one was a, hey, okay, we ain't never doing this again. Now we need to get everyone to get on that job, and then you need to go allow them to make mistakes. I don't think anyone likes to be micromanaged until you mess up. And obviously they've messed up. So if this was one of those situations where Ryan Poles is now getting in to the situation and saying, hey, no, this is not right, we need to do X, Y, Z, I can see that if he's taking corrective action and just changing course on some things. But if this was something that from day one that's what he did, I'm not sure how I feel about that particular part. So I appreciate that. New coaching staff next year, personnel. Let's go back to Colin Cowherd made a point. I'm gonna put this on the screen real quick. I appreciate you all tuning in, man. This is again solo live, but we got to do it. We're gonna make sure that you all get an episode every day that we're supposed to be in here, because this is what we're building up to. So I appreciate the support. Again, shout out to you all. Colin Cowherd made a point that if this ends up being a failure year this year, Bears will have to continue to invest in their talent. Oh, okay, there you go. They would have to continue to invest in their talent. Justin Fields and Flus, and the coaching staff will have to go. No. I'm not on board with that. I'm not on board with us continually to put stock in something, because now I think everyone is finally coming to realize that just because someone can be a really good athlete and just because someone can have a really good college career doesn't mean that it always translates to the NFL. And that's actually one of the reasons why I don't put much stock in college, because I'll be honest with you, especially football is becoming the thing now. I think football, a lot of players come out a little more ready, especially defensively. I think that translates. Certain positions, I think it translates. QB is hard. Not every QB that comes out in college works out. It's not. You actually tend to find you're starting to see that people who are drafted in later rounds come out to be a little more effective. And just the whole way the NFL is actually kind of structured, your whole goal is to find some really talented young player on a rookie contract. So you don't have to pay him and then dump him when he finally starts to get good and stuff like nah, I don't really like that. But like certain positions and stuff like that is a given. defense, linebacks, corners, stuff like that. They make instant impact. I think you're starting to see more receivers. We've seen more receivers come out ready than ever because the college game is kind of changing. But QB is really hard. QB can be very hit or miss, and we've seen people in the last couple years who should have been studs not really make it. We've seen just their situation be completely just butchered. Um, Justin Fields may be still that individual. And I keep telling people this. This is not me, as if you all have been rocking with us for a while, I was really big on Mitchell Trubisky for one reason alone. And I know Jay Chris in the chat, he's gonna kill me for this. I was big on it because I saw he was being mismanaged. I am really big on you actually tailoring your game to your player's strength. I do not believe in fixing weaknesses in a sense of that being your sole focus in development. I think in development, you need to maximize your strengths while finding ways to bring forward things that you may be deficient in over time. And a coach should put that player in the best position to hide those deficiencies. So if you're a young QB, what does that look like? In Justin Fields' case, you need to have a good run game. You need to have a solid line. So he has time to actually process it because I don't think he processes it as fast as people say he does. The tape doesn't show it. The tape doesn't show that he processes these things as fast. And if you compare his tape to Jordan Love's tape, just in how they from their drop back and stuff like that, and there's 3 different other resources you can go out there to find out and have that critique. I'm not going to act like I'm the sovereign of that. Jordan's Love technique looked better. Why? One, he's an older QB. He has more professional experience. He sat in the room with the legendary QB, and Green Bay has a better pedigree in history of developing QBs. It's just a fact. You can argue with your mom about it. I know there are rivals. We don't care for them. Screw the Packers. But they develop their QBs better. We've only had 3 sample sizes of it in most people's lifetime. It just is what it is. So at this point, you can say what you want to say. Now, Steve-O brings up a good thing. He says, hey, Love had no pressure. That doesn't change the fact that his technique, how he looked on certain throws, was really, really good. He had a couple throws that looked really, really good, even under pressure. Now, again, I'm not trying to compare the two because I think they're vastly different. I don't like comparing people who should, like Jordan Love should be good. Like he has all the tools to be good. If he's not good, I think that's more of an indictment on him than anything else because you got to sit in a room with one of the best for several years who seem to, the reports say he actually liked them. You have an O-line that allows you to actually have the opportunity to take the game a little slower. Justin doesn't have that privilege right now. So it's not an apples to apples truly, but I do honestly feel as if like, there are some things that are just by now Justin should have. And those things are that he's still struggling with. And I'm not the first person to say I won't be the last. It's all over. And what Shady McCoy has actually said about him has started to become more true until it's not. And that may take time. By the way, I am rooting for the kid because I'll be honest with you, I would love for the first time that we have a dual threat QB who can rival a Lamar Jackson MVP season to be in a Bears jersey. If he can find a way to just get over week 1, the ineptitude of whatever's going on between Getsy and everything like that, I promise you, right, he don't have to win. He would run Chicago. He doesn't have to. He has to be better. If he's better, if we like 10-7 good, and if he's better than Mitchell Trubisky, he will run Chicago, and we will rally behind him. He don't have to win Super Bowls right now. He don't even have to win MVP. He just got to string together a nice subset of games with his arm and his legs, and we'll ride behind him to the sunset. Tell me I'm lying. If I'm lying, put it in the chat. Well, Justin is not accurate. At times, he cannot be. But that's indicative of any young QB. I saw Jordan Love with a clean pocket overthrow receivers for like that game could have got out of hand a lot earlier than it did. He had some passes where like they would have picked up some massive yards, the momentum would have been high, and he overthrew his receivers several times, which is another thing. Even the blown passes by Jordan Love was still coverages that got beat by Green Bay that shouldn't have got beat. We look bad. That's how bad that got. Oh God. Oh, Anthony says you lying. Shady still. Hey, listen, whatever. Nagy offense, not play calling, is better than Getsy. I don't think you watched that Kansas City game. Anytime you make Patrick Mahomes look kind of like he's struggling, that's bad, my G. Patrick Mahomes got to be the second greatest quarterback in the last 10 years. Nah. I mean, Kansas City looked out of sorts. I don't know about that one, but we gonna keep it moving. Key facts. I moved from Chicago. I'm in the A. I will rock. You pretty much saying that you'll rock with the kid if he does. That's all we want. And you know what? That makes it a very interesting situation. That all we want is just to be decent. Like we okay being decent. Like that's like going to that's probably a bad analogy, but it's like if you was in a dating scene and you're not going for the dime, you just want somebody decent. Like that, no one does that. That's like no one just that's no one settles. Like you if you find yourself, but like no one wants to settle. Like we're settling right now. Like God. Jay Crit. Let's see this. I'm riding with Justin, but he deserves all the smoke until he gets it together. There's a lot of smoke. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of stuff that I saw that there's a lot of stuff I saw that we shouldn't see for someone who's our franchise quarterback. And that bothers me. Like no matter what anyone says, and I say this all the time, Mitch still got A-Rob 1,000 yards. Mitch still got A-Rob 1,000 yards. Defense didn't throw that ball. Say what you want to say. Say wherever you can sit there and say, well, he started at the 40. I don't care. A-Rob still got 1,000 yards and ain't got 1,000 yards since. Put that into perspective. Say whatever you want to about the kid. Say he's stupid, this, that, and the other. A-Rob still got 1,000 yards with him. Name me the one receiver that got close since we have Justin. They still allowed Mitch to throw. They allowed Mitch to throw, but they didn't allow him to play his game. We have design rollouts for Justin, and we're happy to see them. That's how low we've gotten. We were like, where's the rollouts? I mean, I'm not here to compare the two QBs. I'm just letting you all know that we expected better. We have someone with more potential. We have someone with more promise, and we are still settling for, hey, can I just get Mitchell Trubisky-like game right now? Can I get a Mitchell Trubisky 2018 right now? That's all I want. And I'm happy. That's what we trying to say. And we all felt like Mitch wasn't going to get us to a Super Bowl. But we would sit there and clamor for that right now. That's how low we've gotten. So whatever you all, whatever your gripe is, whatever. Again, I'm not sitting there comparing the two. But if we want to be honest, by year 3, being a starter, this, that, and the other, we expected not just more, much more. What am I sipping right now? This is cranberry and vodka. That's and I'm not a cranberry vodka guy. So this is a bittersweet drink for a bittersweet moment. Cheers to you. On top of that, let's go into a couple of things, man. We're gonna come to the second half of this. Solo, I'm gonna give y'all 45 minutes to an hour. I hope y'all appreciate it. I realize it takes a whole lot to talk on live, 45 minutes straight. So I appreciate y'all timing in. We have a couple of games. There's a game tonight, ain't it? Who's playing tonight? My fault for the pause. I had to make sure something. Eagles and Vikings. There you go. Talk to me. Help me out. Here's the one thing I will say. Stand up. I appreciate you, Revere. Appreciate you. Here's the one thing I will say. The way we've looked has changed the way I look at our schedule. I don't think that we are going to be as dominant now, just based off the way that we've prepared against a team who I felt like, while they do have a good defensive line, they do have an offensive line, they're not the best team we're going to see. I do feel like the Tampa Bay is going to be, I'm up in the air about Tampa Bay. I do see us potentially going 0-2, simply because I think we now have to go from being disastrously bad to decent. And they just edged out a tight win with Baker, who, if you watch that game, Baker got squabbles. He had an O line that broke down on him a couple of times, and he was able to make plays and get them in a good position. It wasn't clean football, wasn't good, it wasn't great football, but I do think, and I do think the narrative on Baker has to change a little bit. I think everyone in our own respective cities, we sit there and we like finger point, oh, this QB's not that, or we say Baker's going Baker. And Baker does have one season where it was like he's probably feeling himself more than he should have. He had nothing but the tools around him. He didn't really use them. Or maybe he, for whatever reason, he didn't throw the wide open OBJs 8,000 times. I don't know what that was about, right? But Baker had like something like 7 different coaches and systems in 8 years, or it's something like that. It's like 5, however long he's been in the league, he's had just as many different coaches and systems to learn. And the simple fact that if you go look at his numbers, the simple fact that he's been like a good mid to good QB under all that pressure, I don't like him personally. I don't know him personally. Excuse me. I don't like his game personally. It's not the best to me. He still takes a lot of like risks, but he's done well in that respect. So it's like, yo, I can't front. Like, Baker has done something that I think most QBs would struggle with. I saw Russell Wilson struggle with just making an adjustment to Denver, even though Nathaniel he's a horrible coach. Like, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I saw somebody died. Like, you get what I'm saying. Like, stuff like that, you really have to sit there and like really give credit to, because that is impressive. Not only is it impressive, it's very hard to do in the NFL. We have to talk about professional football. It's hard to do what Baker's done. And I think he could have handled it better. He could have handled some of the situations better, but he's performed pretty well. I think him being on his little comeback tour, and plus them that front, someone mentioned their front seven, it's gonna be hard. That's gonna be a hard game. So I'm not as confident in that. I don't think that we're going to be as dominant in the division. I do think now that our trajectory is going to be bottom of this division, and that's hard to say. But we thought we'd have the best talent at QB right now. I think we have to pump our brakes on that. I think our defense is probably third behind Green Bay and Detroit, just based off of how we've looked so far. I know it's only one game, but that one game says a lot. It's going to be a very uphill battle. And so, and most times when I had us 9 and someone correct me if I'm wrong. I had us like 9-8, something like that, right? I think we probably double up. We double up on our last year's total. We probably win 6 games the way it's looking if things don't drastically change. And that's hard. That's hard to sit there and say when we've been hyping up this team all summer. We've been excited for football all summer. Y'all don't realize I troll sometimes just to be trolling, just to add parody, just to be funny, just to. But I really wanted this team to be good. So looking at our schedule, I was like, 7, 8, maybe 9. No, I 6. If this is what we gonna look like, and this is what we gotta climb, 6. That probably that's not gonna drive well with a lot of you all. But guess what? Tell me something different. Give me the stretch of games that you all feel we can dominate in, based off of what you've seen, not what you feel, what you've seen, both last season and this season. I thought we could split with most of our division rivals. I could see a real opportunity, a real chance that we get swept. I could see a chance of us getting swept by Green Bay. I could see Detroit sweeping us. I still think we split with the Vikings, simply because Kurt without an O-line is Kurt gonna throw that thing, but he probably gonna have a Josh Allen night. But like realistically, what is it? So it's not. I want y'all to understand. I'm not a stan. I'm not someone that just trolls to be trolling. I'm a realist. I look at what we have. I look at what we've done. I look at how the trajectory between the two. I look at how we've improved incrementally, and if this is what we're gonna put on the field, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I think we run over Tampa Bay and change things. 30-17 Bears. Screenshot this comment if you like. Hey, everybody, listen. It's about nearly 50 you all in here. Please like the video. Hey, screenshot that for me. Just right here. Just screenshot that, post that on Twitter because we want to see if Rivera's gonna actually own that one. Because I don't see that happening, dog. I see a 30-17 game happening. I don't think we're gonna have 30. I I don't think we're gonna have 30. I don't. We got a couple high draft pick next year. Somebody job in jeopardy. Not saying any names, but Justin Fields. We don't have to have a winning record for us to still ride with Justin. I think how Justin looks, like her mentioned yesterday, late game situations, things of that nature. There's a lot more that goes into it. It's not just Justin being good, but if Justin starts making those throws, we start seeing that connection with DJ Moore happen. We start seeing him actually perform a little bit more in the situations that we want him to. I think we will be okay. Unless there's an opportunity for Caleb Williams, I think we'll be okay. The one thing I will let people know is um, I've researched this and it just appears to be true. It's not a rule that I've made. I'm just letting you all know, and you all could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not infallible. But a GM only gets so many different bites at the apple. He's going to get one good coaching change, and he's going to get one more QB. And considering the fact that he's a black GM at that, you take that with a grain of salt. Like he may own this, may be his only, you know. But the one thing I do know is Getsy made. I don't think I think that's going to be one of them situations where we fire him. So if you really want to put that into perspective, I think if things don't shape up, and I said this many lives ago, Poe set himself up to have an exit route. I'm going to sit there and use some of the pieces that I've inherited. I'm going to see how they perform. I'm going to give them the opportunity. If it doesn't, we're going to quickly pivot into something that will better fit what we're trying to accomplish, and we're going to develop that. And you got to understand, I think Pose likes Justin. I think he likes his potential. I think everyone pretty much does. But there's no GM that's married to their QB. None. You have to be elite of the elite to have that type of marriage there for a lot of these people. Right? There's no way Kansas City is going. I forgot the name of GM. It's slipping my tongue. I know who he is, but I forgot his name. Like, you ain't getting off of Patrick. Patrick Mahomes have a bad season this season. Even if he has two bad seasons, you ain't moving off Patrick Mahomes. It has to be disastrously bad. You know, you're not moving off of. Well, Josh Allen had a bad game yesterday. I mean, Josh Allen game was terrible. Josh Allen had a terrible game, but he's just that level of talent. It's like, I don't think they move off of him. Like, he got to have a nice string of them terrible games. But that man, hey, anytime somebody make their season bonus in one game off of you, you had a bad game, my G. Somebody got paid $250,000 just picking you off 3 times. That's crazy. There you go, Joe Burrow. That's who I was looking for. Like, Jalen Hurts, I think Jalen Hurts is a TBD. I like the season that he had. AJ Brown is a great pickup for him. They did the right things. They have a monster of a team. I have to see it again. I have always questioned his. I have questions about Jalen Hurts. I do. I have questions. I have questions about Jalen Hurts, and some people are like, why you do that? He made it to the Super Bowl. So did Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco made it to the Super Bowl. Got paid too. They was calling him King Joe. How'd that turn out? We've seen lightning in the bottle at times. Don't act like it's anything. I know people are looking at QBs for the 2024 draft, but there are some really, really good O-line coming out that would. I agree with that. That's a fact. The QBs to me are a better target. And if we're at the same spot where we are, Caleb Williams is good, dog. He's him. Nah. You do that. Guess he has shown that he can be okay last season. This DC is just sad. Like I said, no one likes Allen. I don't know what he's done, what he don't do. I don't know what the disconnect is. I really don't. Joe Montana Flacco wins the postseason. Uh, I don't know what he is. Uh, I don't get it, dog. Don't have me. Let's move on to something else. Let's move on to something. Claypool will be traded at the trade deadline. Guess he's overrated. Hey, listen, some of these people are too new to have a rating. We got to stop rating people a particular way. We done rated this is where the whole take of me not liking Justin came from. Because some of y'all are new, some of y'all just didn't get clarity. It came from people rating Justin Fields higher than QBs who've had a much better career to date. I get it. No one likes Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has finessed the league, although he's making pretty much like half of what the going rate for a star QB is now. So he didn't really finesse. He just finessed. He just made a really good business deal for the time. But the way the money was going, he was never going to be the highest QB in the league continuously. That man throws 4,000 yards, 20 to 30 tuds every season, last couple seasons. May not be the reason you win every game, but has put up some really good records. Justin Jefferson has had one of the best seasons from a young receiver in a while. Mind you, I understand it's Justin Jefferson, but somebody got to get him the ball. Somebody has to have the gall to throw him the ball. I'm still dealing with a QB who I don't even know is going to have the gall to throw the ball. You know, half the possessions that Kirk Cousins throw that ball into to Justin Jefferson, where he's force feeding it, you be like, what is Kirk doing? What's Kirk? Oh, he caught that. That's trust between your QB and your receiver. I gotta put it up there for you to make a play. If the ball never gets up there, he never gets to play. Let's worry about that changing first before we start comparing people. Let me see DJ Moore get in positions where we allow his athleticism to show, and he gets to show that why he's one of the top receivers in the league before we start comparing two QBs, one who has no problem letting it rip and one who's still struggling with that concept. That's all I'm saying. Stop comparing people who are they at two different levels of their game right now. Is Justin ceiling way higher than Kurt? Absolutely. Kurt is a statue. Y'all seen Kurt try to run? It ain't pretty. That pocket breakdown, Kurt dead. That man is dead. It's not happening. It's a lot more potential for Justin. But y'all put him over Kirk Cousins today. How? In what world? That logic don't logic, that math don't math. It don't add up at all. Stop it. Get some help. Like, don't do it. Which Fields will rip it like Anthony Richardson. I didn't see enough tape on Anthony Richardson for me to make a comment. I didn't really care. I think it's a very, very horrible situation to have a young QB like Anthony Richardson and not pay Jonathan Taylor and give him that assistance. I think every young QB, especially rookie, coming into this league needs assistance. And one of the things that you can for sure do, if it's not going to be an O-line, is make sure that they have a good back to help move the chains in case they can't get it done or to get them out of tight situations. If you're not going to get the star receiver, which I think they got good, decent receivers over there. If you're not going to have that, you got to get him that run game. And I'm not saying that they're in dire straits, but I'm just saying that the way that the whole situation is managed, they paid a kicker more than they was going to pay. That's just messed up to me. So I haven't paid. I say that to say I haven't paid them enough attention to even have an intelligent conversation on Anthony Richardson. And I don't like commenting on people I haven't had the opportunity to watch to develop an opinion. I just won't do it to you. It's all about allowing the ripping. If we get it, let's move on to some other comments, man. We're gonna give us about 10 more minutes, then we're gonna get into I want to make sure that we all get the show that we want to get. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. And then we're gonna probably like the last 5 minutes of this talk about what we expect from the Vikings and the Eagles. I think that's gonna be a better game than most people think. And I would love to see how Jalen Hurts looks. This is a defense that should allow him the opportunity to really show out. And I would love to see what Kirk Cousins does against a dominant defense like the Philadelphia Eagles, because I mean, then that'll put the rest some of the conversations we're having as the best QBs. Because I mean, like, yeah, it is what it is. That's an interesting comment right there. Let's play this game out. Kid, it's draft night, and Justin turned his season around, but Braxton didn't progress. as thought, nor the pass rush. Are you going premier O line or edge rush? O line, O line. Two things you just said right there. I'm gonna let you know where I stand. I don't care about that defense right now. That's probably not what y'all want to hear. It probably don't sound intelligent. Some football purists is gonna be out there like, this guy is stupid. Shut up. The only thing that you've only seen the entire life is a defense. There's some of you all range from 18 in this chat to 65. So 60, 65, right? Yeah, no diss to my boy out there. You know what I'm talking about. What's the one thing that you've seen your entire life? I say it for you. You've seen the Chicago Bears put together a dominant defense. You've seen us do it time and time again. You've seen us do it for those who's hated. If you're 80s baby, 70s, 90s baby. Let's say you was born 2000s. The only thing you've known is Chicago Bears is the Midwest Monsters. We've always had a dominant defense. That's all you know. Tell me who your dominant QB has been. Tell me when's the last time we had a good QB and a good O-line at the same time. Give me 40 years of when we strung it together like that. We've never had both of them at the same time. And when we did have a good O-line, we had a bad QB. And we had a good QB, we had no O-line. We've never had a good defense, good O-line, and a good QB. You know what that means? This is going to trip y'all out. We've never been able to do what the Green Bay Packers have done over the last 40 years. It's a heavy statement saying that we dominated in the early 80s, right? But over the last, I'll say 30, not 40, 30. In the last 30 years, the Green Bay Packers have done all of that. They've had a good O-line. They've had legendary QBs. They've had a dominant defense. Now, when I mean dominant, I don't mean the best defense in the league. But they had a defense of note. You actually had the game plan for them. You were like, okay, this is not a pushover here. So they've had, in my lifetime, I've seen Green Bay numerous times put together a good O-line, have a good QB. There's only been 3 of them. And a good defense. I ain't seen the Bears do that. So if I have the opportunity, I'm getting my O-line. I got to get my O-line. So, take that for what it will. I do not look at the game of football like a lot of peers look at the game of football. I look at what a game of football has been. I look at where it's going. I look at who's played that game well. There's several organizations, whether they won Super Bowls or not, that have played that game well. San Francisco has played the game well. You could put any QB in that system, and they're going to have a decent season. I think Brock Purdy is a good QB, though. I've made the statement that says Brock Purdy, even though he has better weapons, is going to have a better season than Justin Fields. I still believe that he should have a better season. If he doesn't, that's on him not maximizing his opportunity. Shame on him. It doesn't necessarily, it's not an indictment on Justin per se, but like if you're in a better situation, I expect more from you. So I expect Brock Purdy to be better, right? I mean, he pushed Trey Lance out of there, for God's sake. Trey Lance is on the bench in Dallas. So go figure. And they bet the farm on Trey. So like when you put into perspective who has played the game well as far as developing their team, getting good players in, being competitive and things of that nature. The Bears have always been there for one reason, while some organizations have been there for multiple reasons. We just ain't strung it together. So I look at where we're going, where the league is going. The league is going high-powered offense. High-powered offense. QBs that put the ball up, QBs that are mobile, QBs that are accurate. Freaks of nature compared to what the QB was 20, 30 years ago. And some people are just better at picking that talent than others. And some people are better at developing that talent than others. We're not good at developing. I do think we've picked some good people. I think Justin was a great pick. We haven't developed him right. And I throw this out there. I think anyone we would have drafted would be in the same situation because we would have ruined them. I think there's a culture thing. I think it's still whatever it is. I can't put my finger on it. Half of Chicago can't, but we just can't seem to get it right. I would be a San Francisco. We need a head coach. Let's see. Wait, behind Minnesota on that note too. Like, listen, just take your emotions away from it. It's a lot to unpack there, bro. Like, we have never had competency at premier or crucial, let me say crucial positions to get us where we need to go. Like, we've always just had one or the other. And that's just not how the game is. And mind you, you this is going to be such a tough thing to kind of turn. I'm going to turn the ship slowly. Stop comparing everyone to Patrick Mahomes and stuff like that. Like, Patrick Mahomes is a one of one. Like, you only get one Patrick Mahomes every so often. Tom Brady wasn't even supposed to be who he became, right? So it's not like you drafted Tom Brady and he was going to be a stud and you knew it from day one. Nobody expected Tom to be who he was even after his first Super Bowl, let alone go to 10 and win 7, right? So that's different. I don't stop comparing those situations. Totally different. And then you compare people who, like Patrick Mahomes, could have played baseball at an elite level. He was going to be a stud no matter what he did. That's not something you compare to. Like, those are outliers. Stop looking at outliers. You know how many QBs have had good careers in this league that don't even get talked about because they weren't the outlier? And that's a shame. Like, we talk about Phillip Rivers, like we make jokes about no kill Phil all the time. Bro, Phillip Rivers is a legendary QB by many statistics. No one talks about Drew Brees anymore because he's not Brady and this, that. Brady, he was one of the most accurate QBs of all time. And even he is still an outlier if you really look at it, right? There's so many other QBs who've had good careers that we just totally overlook. I don't need Justin to be an outlier. I need him to be good. I need him to be a good, steady, consistent QB. That's all I'm asking for him to be. Like, seriously, like, that's if he can give me a Mike Vick season, great. Mike Vick wasn't very accurate. Mike Vick got like 1 or 2 seasons where it was like, oh, that guy can really throw. Like, Mike Vick only got like one of those. Go back and look at it. Even Mike Vick could tell you, like, it's kind of shaky. Like, be real. So, like, just take that with what it is, because I think sometimes we look at the game of football, even game of basketball, and we compare people on our teams that we root for to people who are outliers. You compare everyone on your team to somebody on the top 100 to have ever played the game of basketball. That's stupid. It's 5,000 people. You're comparing the 1% of the 1%. Come on now. It's a lot more examples that we can use to actually get our point across. I won't be mad if Justin was Big Ben. Big Ben is a legendary QB. He's a legendary QB. Am I wrong? Is he not a legendary QB? If you have to tell the story of football the last 20 years, you can't say that without mentioning his name. It is what it is, man. That being said, man, last couple of minutes, let's get this in the chat. Let's get our predictions for tonight's game. I want to say Ben and Russell have Super Bowls. I think Russell's it could be considered a legend. Russell's had a good career, but the moment he gets on a new situation and starts going south, they say, well, it was only because of Pete Carroll. What? I guess. I would say if Justin looks like Russell I say Westbrook. if Justin looks, you know what I'm trying to say. Just look like Russ, I'll be fine with that. I'm cool. I'm happy with that. If he looks like Wilson, I'm happy with that. That's a win. That's a win. We got 34-13 Eagles. I'm with that. I think Minnesota's gonna score more, but I think Minnesota's gonna lose. Minnesota has a really, really tough schedule. So I mean, it's kind of crazy. They really needed that win against Tampa. 20-30-23. I'm closer to that one. I'm with you on that one, Steve-O. I got all in all, I have an Eagles win. If the Minnesota Vikings gets a win and they do it handedly, then I think we need to start putting some more respect on their name. I do like the moves they made. The one thing I will say is this, because like I mentioned to you all just a few minutes ago, I am a big fan of people who've decided to commit to a high-powered offense. The Minnesota Vikings getting Addison was a gem, because if you gonna sit there, you gonna have to double Justin. You're gonna always have to have him on your radar. He's always gonna be a threat. You need somebody else to get the ball to. And I thought Addison was somebody who even the Bears should have considered if we weren't going to do anything else. But we saw that turn out, man. My predictions: Bears fans cook. hey, this I don't like that. I don't like you for that, Coach T. I don't like you for that. I was gonna go the rest of this live. I'm about to get off now, but I wasn't even gonna mention this. But that right there, people gonna start having real comments about polls. Hey man, listen, I appreciate you all tuning in with me, man. Hey man, we got about 50, 60 y'all rocking with it on a solo live that no one really expected, because we all thought we was gonna cancel this thing. I really appreciate you all sticking it out with me. Apparently, I get to run my mouth for an hour, and I'm kind of good at it. If you all agree or disagree, put in the comments. It helps the algorithm. I like your support either way. I want all the smoke. It doesn't matter. But let us go enjoy some football on this Thursday. I hope you all had a good day at work. Whatever you do, man, be safe in whatever you do. And we will see you all tomorrow about the same time. And we will be live calling the Bears game this weekend. So we're gonna start giving our predictions out for that. But until then, man, y'all be safe out there. Peace.